All right. Well, hey, Lydia, good
Hey,
afternoon.
hey, Sarah, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for joining me here today for another one of our fun episodes on forbearance.
Thanks for having me. So, why don't you start with what you've got? We've got some new information. And for those that don't know, we've been talking every week about forbearance, and forbearance is have they been around forever? They're basically considered a loan modification. And when COVID first hit, Fannie and Freddie and all the other investors said to the servicing companies, work with your people and try to get them some relief. And so these forbearances became very popular around February, March, April timeframe. So, and some of them are 3 months, 6 months. Some people have done them for 12 months. So give us the latest on what you have, Sarah.
Awesome. Great introduction. Thank you. And one of the key things when it comes to forbearance, it is not it's not forgiven. It's not a loan that's forgiven. It is a loan that has been delayed. So that's one of the biggest things. It's different. It's a delay. So
Yep.
What's going on right now is, so properties that are in forbearance actually are still being tracked as delinquent. They're just not having negative effects of, having hurt credit scores, things like that. So we do know that more than 6 million households didn't make their rent or mortgage payment last month. And
Okay.
that's also, it talks about 26 million people with student loan debt didn't make their payments, and all of that, even though that sounds like really big numbers, all of them, that's an improvement from where we were. So a total of 8.5% of renters, or about 2.82 million households rental, had delayed or reduced monthly payment, and that's actually down. Additionally, about 7.1% or 3.37 million homeowners missed mortgage payments in September. So here's the thing, when you think about that, those are not everybody that's in forbearance. There could be a lot of them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that all of those people are in forbearance. So that's kind of one thing to note, that there are two numbers that you're going to be hearing. The number in forbearance is actually smaller. They did an announcement, so the number of loans in forbearance has dropped. We're down to 6.32%. That is, or sorry, we are down from 6.32% to 5.92%. So it's right around 3 million mortgages are in forbearance, and that takes out about 200,000 this week and 200,000 last week. And one so many have been coming off is that a lot of borrowers don't realize that in order to stay in a forbearance plan, they have to call their servicer, call their lender, have that conversation.
Right.
So Mike Frantantoni, the Mortgage Banker Association Senior Vice President and Chief Economist, he has this really good quote that really explains kind of what's at play here. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. He said, the share of loans in forbearance declined across all loan types, primarily because of borrower forbearance plans expiring at the 6-month mark. Federally backed loans under the CARES Act are eligible to be extended for up to 12 months, but borrowers must contact their servicer for an extension. Without that contact, borrowers automatically exit forbearance, whether they are delinquent or current with their loan. Borrowers federally backed mortgages should contact their servicer if they still have a hardship due to the pandemic. So I can't put more weight on this, in that we need everybody to know that in order to stay in a forbearance plan, they have to communicate with their servicer.
Absolutely.
It is a must. Otherwise, they're going to get these scary bills and not know what to do, and not know that they have options, and not know that they can stay in their house.
Right.
Now, the kind of one bright side of everything that's happening for these people who are in some potentially tough situations is the just crazy amount of appreciation we've had so far this year. We're looking at pushing 18% appreciation. So that's going to make movement and everything so much easier for them. And actually, MBA is forecasting an increase for 2021 of 8.5% over 2020, 0.5% increase, which is $1.54 trillion. I mean, these are such big numbers of an increase of purchase applications. So we know that we've got the demand. We know
Yep.
that the borrowers are coming. We know that that's going to continue going up. And with our inventory levels, no one is really expecting to see a giant rise in inventory. So even if these borrowers do need to sell, there's going to be somebody there waiting to pay top dollar for their houses.
Right. And it better for them to get the equity out and to regroup and maybe get back into the purchase after they've figured out their situation.
Yes.
But home ownership is really what we want to keep them in. You and I are both in the business of home ownership. So trying to keep someone in their home that has done a forbearance is really, really important.
Definitely is. And I know you and I were just talking about, you know, because Lydia, with your servicer that you work with and doing your different inspections, I mean, you were just saying what, like, that these numbers and these people falling out make sense to you, because what are you seeing?
It does. So I work for a servicing company, and the servicing company is the person that we usually make our house payment to. Well, when someone goes into default, they start soliciting the agents that they've hired, like myself, to either go do BPOs or inspections. And with the COVID situation, we can't go into the home. So we're actually doing, I call them drive-by BPOs or drive-by inspections. And yeah, and what I'm seeing is I am starting to see a consistent between 2 and 5 inspections given to me a day. And they started slow. They started out about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And I did 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 a week. Now I'm seeing that many in a day. So I have to assume that the ones that I'm doing are maybe not necessarily going to go into foreclosure, but that they feel are maybe higher risk. So they want to know, the servicing company wants to know, is the homeowner maintaining the home as it should? Because part of what I have to do besides take photos is also check to see, does the roof look okay? Does the foundation look okay? Does it look like it's been abandoned? Is the home occupied? They want to know all those things to make sure that the home is being taken care of. So that's what my job is right now with the servicing company. And I was in a meeting a few weeks ago with the director of Freddie Mac, and that was a really good meeting, because what they were saying, Freddie and Fannie are the 2 largest servicing companies, and what they really want to see is they want to see people have an exit strategy by the end of this year, by the end December 31st of 2020. They want to make sure people are either completely out of their forbearance time, or, like you said, rework their forbearance with their servicing company. They really want to, because we don't know if the CARES Act is going to continue. We don't know if there's going to be some additional help there. So it was really only intended for a short-term situation. If someone does need a permanent loan modification to stay in the home, that is possible. I mean, that's not, it's very well, the servicing company and Freddie and Fannie, whoever your end investor is, wants to see you stay in the home. They are home ownership, like you and I are, Sarah. And so they want to make sure that the homeowners stay in the home, or if they don't stay in the home, that they can get out without having to go through a short sale or a foreclosure. That's really their main concern.
And I think that those, I mean, and that's evident by what these, you know, by putting these plans together and making it available. The challenge is communicating the plans. That's why we're here. I mean, for example, Lydia, you were just telling me about one you went to see, and you were talking, and the homeowner drove up when you were taking the pictures outside. And what did she say to you?
So the funny thing is, well, it's not funny, it's actually sad. So I told her I had to take photos because I worked with the servicing company, and she said, well, what's a servicing company? And I said, well, they may manage your mortgage. And she said, I don't have a mortgage on this house. And I said, are you sure? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, I've got to take the photos so that my company knows that I was here. And so I took the photos, And I got back to my office, I checked on the tax records, and she's had a VA loan since 2010. So either she didn't understand, maybe she is in a forbearance and hasn't paid. And so maybe she assumes that the bank said, okay, you don't have to pay ever. I mean, I think people don't understand what they have gotten themselves into. And that's part of the
Right.
problem is, and some people thought they were on forbearance when they weren't officially on forbearance, and they quit making their house payments. And so there's just a mishmash of inaccurate information. And that's why I think you and
That's
I,
why we're
Sarah,
doing this.
that's why we're doing it, because we know that there's so many homeowners that don't understand what they got into. And it's okay if you did a forbearance. You just need to communicate with your servicing company. Make sure you have the correct documentation you need. Make sure you have the program that you know you're on. Make sure that everybody's on the same page, because we don't want a situation in a month or 2 or 3 at the end of the year, and then all of a sudden you get this big bill because you didn't make it a permanent loan modification, or maybe you didn't renegotiate your forbearance that you had. So this is really, really important, because from now until the end of the year, Freddie and Fannie are suspending all late fees, because when you do a loan modification, there's fees involved. Well, with these forbearances, the federal government is trying to eliminate those fees. So they are suspended, but they're only suspended till December 31st of 2020. So we need to really make sure that our homeowners understand, start working now. We have a few months to get into it. Rates are still low. Maybe a refi is possible, but you have to have 3 consecutive payments. If you can start making your payment now, you might be able to refi by January, February, and stay in your home and make it work.
Perfect. And that's like you said at the beginning, that's our goal, is to keep people who want to be in those houses in those houses.
Yep. Yeah, so we will be back next week, and we'll give more updates. And obviously, if you need to get a hold of us to talk about your forbearance or where you need to go, between Sarah and I, we have a lot of resources, and we can help facilitate at least putting you in the right direction.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you, Lydia. As
Thanks,
always,
Sarah.
great information. I always appreciate everything that you share. So thank you again.
Thank you. And you have a lot of good information too, so I appreciate that as well. Thanks, Sarah. See you next week.
Awesome. See you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.